Hey everyone, what's up? It's Jason from Freduro MTB here. Super exciting video today. We're going to be unboxing and building up my new bike for the 2024 season. I cannot wait to see it. I have not pulled it out of the box, it's just out of frame here. So we'll get to that in a minute, but before we do, those of you that have followed the channel or have checked out my bike check, on this previous bike here, this is Norco Sight's previous generation. And it was a custom build. I built it as an aluminum frame. Prior to that, I had a 2019 carbon Norco Sight. So second one, absolutely love this bike. If you haven't checked out that video, what I'll do is I'll link it below so you can check that out and understand what I'm coming off of before going to this bike. Since that video, few tweaks to the bike, few changes, new parts, primarily some race face stuff. Carbon wheel set, that was the Next R31s, carbon bars, Next R35, and turbine cranks. Finally got some shorter cranks at 165, which has been awesome. Otherwise, SQ Labs saddle and grips. And yeah, really been loving the changes. I just got back from a bike trip. I was in Portugal, Madeira, rode 2 weeks there with Freeride Madeira. Absolutely incredible experience. I took this bike with me. Handled everything amazingly, especially there with such variety of terrain. You never know what kind of trail you're going to get into, or and it was just perfect, right? There's a lot of tight switchbacks too, so you don't want too big of a bike, but you want a bike that can handle stuff, especially when you're riding so much terrain blind, a lot of big compressions and rough stuff. So I find a bike of this size is just perfect. Kind of the one bike can do it all. So I've been super stoked on it, and with that being said, I'm going to pull this new box in and let you guys know what I'm going to be riding for the 2024 season. So, if you haven't already guessed it, or figured from the last two bikes, I'm going to stick with Norco Sight, to be honest. I'm super excited to see the changes on the new generation. The most notable is the virtual high pivot, obviously. We've seen some other shorter trail bikes, like the Forbidden Druid comes to mind, do it. I have a buddy that rides one of those, nothing but amazing things to say, so super curious to check this out. And what I understand is the Norco engineers have done a lot of work to kind of negate some of the drawbacks that those high pivots have, as it relates to like a trail bike, right? A shorter bike. And you've even seen their optic go high pivot, right? At 125 rear travel. So in the box is a 2024, it's the C1 model. Now I did get it in a full 29er. That's really because I prefer the color of the olive over the yellow. And Norco provides the option to buy the missing link. The missing link lets you turn the bike into a mullet without compromising any of the geometry. And where I already have a 27.5 rear carbon wheel that's going to go on this, yeah, I'll just get the link and I'll put that on and convert it into a mullet. So that being said, let's see my first impressions of this bike. I got this through my local bike shop, Savages. I've been buying bikes through them since I was a kid. I've totally lost count of how many Norcos I've been on. Started with the Scrambler, and if you've watched the bike check, you've kind of seen me go through that history, but yeah, they're amazing, and I explained kind of some of the appeal of Norcos in that video, but low standover. I'm super short, you can probably see that. This is a size 1 in their new sizing model. I'm about 5'3", 5'4", if I'm being generous. That puts me kind of right smack middle of this size. From what I understand on the sizing, it's like there's more crossover in sizes, so if you're kind of between sizes, you know, you might be a 1 or a 2, and you kind of have your choice depending on how you want to ride the bike or what terrain you're riding it on. And the new S5 goes all the way up to people that are like 6'5". So really cool of them to do that. And let's get into it. Let's see. Okay, initial. I can't see much. It's really well packed, really well protected. Oh, it's in there good. Okay, so this is what you can expect if you're getting a bike for Norco and assembling it yourself. Okay, I can finally see some of the green and it looks sick. Okay, so that's what we're working with. The dropper's in. Still got a lot of protection and danglies on it, but we're gonna throw it up in the stand. Okay, so note on that dropper, same dropper I'm running right now. It's a 150 millimeter 1-up V2 dropper. That was one thing with the last sight where they do have such long post insertion, which is a benefit. You can absolutely slam them, and I'm glad they stocked the smallest size with a 150. A lot of brands are still stocking like 100 or 125 on their smallest model. I don't know yet, but I suspect from looking at the Geo, I might go up to 180 millimeter 1-up on this. Might need to be shimmed down to like 170, but I find with my current model, the 150, I've got over 2 inches of collar, like from the dropper above the collar. And so that tells me there's tons of room for the other 30 mil of drop, and I'd be able to slam it even further. All right, a few days have gone by and we have the bike fully built, fully ready for how we were planning to ride it for the season, with the one exception of ride wrap. Still waiting to ride wrap the bike. That being said, the few changes that I've made from stock is the brakes, the rear wheel, and the linkage kit. So that's the 29er linkage kit that this bike came with. It's called the Missing Link. Norco makes those cross-compatible for all their models. So if you've got the mullet one, you can go to full 29, or the inverse, which is what I did, bought a full 29 model and then got the 27.5 linkage kit for the rear wheel. That helps preserve the geometry exactly how they have it built. So stoked on that. That came in really quick. Biggest challenge I've had over the last couple of days was removing the SRAM code brakes. Meant that the SRAM GX transmission, the shifter pod that came with it, it was mounted directly to those levers, and the infinite clamp to mount it directly to the bars is sold out everywhere. Luckily enough, I know someone with a 3D printer was able to find a 3D print plan design for that clamp. Was able to get a few of those made. That being said, they feel pretty good for plastic, probably not as durable as the alloy version that they sell. Once that's off back order, I'll get one ordered, but these 3D little printed ones are pretty handy. I'll put a link to the design plan that I used to get that printed below. But yeah, that being said, I'll kind of take you through the bike a bit, show you some of the parts and specs of the bike. So starting with suspension, the bike's 160 mil travel in the front, 150 in the back. Norco say you can go up to 170 in the front, and you can increase the stroke length on the shock to get it to 160. So you could run it at a full 170, 160 if you want to go full enduro on it. Front wheel is a Stans Flow S2 29 with the Vault hub. You can see we've gone to the Shimano Saint brakes, 4-piston, tons of stopping power. We've got the Race Face Next 35 mil bar clamp. There's the Infinite pod with our 3D printed mount. SQ Labs 70X grips. Just the stock stem for now. It's a 40 mil alloy stem. Feel that out before we make a decision on what we'll do there. Savage's bottle. That was one of the other challenges. The bolts in the frame for the water bottle are a little too far forward, so I had to make an offset bracket to get that in there, which then got you really close to that piggyback on the shock. So that took some toying to get that right. You can see here I've gone to the Race Face turbine cranks in a 165 length, 30 tooth Race Face narrow wide chainring. We've got the Race Face Next R carbon wheels, SRAM GX transmission and cassette. We've left the stock rotors on. Those are the SRAM. I think what's the model on those? Maybe the HSC or something, or HCS. But they're pretty thick. They look like they're like a 1.8 or 2 mil rotor. And yeah, we'll have an SQ Lab saddle change out for that Bel Air. It's the 1-up 150 mil V2 dropper. And the shock itself is the Fox DHX2. It's got a Sprindex on it that goes from, you can see there, maybe 340 up to 380. Really simple. Just spin that and you're changing spring rates by 5-pound increments. So that's what could help you dial it in. All right, everyone, if you made it this far, thanks a lot. Thanks for checking out my bike build and unboxing of my 2024 Norco Sight. Can't wait to check back in a month or two to give you an idea how it's feeling in terms of those first ride impressions. All I've done for setting wise is gone with the Norco Ride Align program online. You put in your kind of rider weight and style and height, and it's going to spit out kind of everything from bar rise to stem spacers, bar width, air pressure for your floor, rebound clicks, compression clicks. So last few bikes I've used it on have put me really close to the settings I've ended up riding for the majority of the time. So yeah, I love that program. Super glad that's available through them. Otherwise, just a huge thank you to Savages. It's awesome to deal with them still and kind of continue that relationship. So big thanks to them for making another bike happen. And yeah, stay tuned. I'll put some links in the description below, but please let me know, provide some comments. What do you think about this year's model versus the previous generation? Are any of you thinking about getting a Norco Sight? Let us know in the comments below. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Hopefully by then I'm out riding the bike. So stay tuned. Thanks so much and catch you on the trails. Do you like my new bike? You like the new bike? Thank you.